So we're asked to sketch some conics. So let's go ahead and do it. This one, hopefully you know, is an ellipse because it has a plus in the middle of this thing. So we put on our axes. This one has a center at 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe I need to move it up a little bit. There we go. That might be better for in a second. So now we have to go in each direction. So we're going to go the square root of 16, 4 units in the x direction. Okay, so 4 units in the x direction. And we're going to go the square root of 9 in the y direction. So 3 units up and 3 units down. Okay, so this is all we need to do in order to sketch, is to have these 4 points and make it as ovalish looking as possible. Okay, but the last thing we have to do is put on your foci. So to do that, we have to take the subtraction of your two denominators. 16 minus 9 is 7, so the foci is the square root of 7 away from your center along your major axis. Okay, so this is more than 2 but less than 3. So maybe somewhere in there is a foci, and maybe somewhere in here is a focus. And there is the sketch of your graph. So another thing is the major axis here would be 8 units long as your major axis, and your minor axis would be 6 units long. The total distance from the top to the bottom and from the left to the right. There's an ellipse. Okay, the next one is a hyperbola. A parabola. Sorry, a parabola. So we're going to put our stuff on here too. So looking at the vertex, okay, our vertex comes from your x-coordinate and your y-coordinate. So let's see where those are. -4 and +5 are your vertex. So -4, +5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, because it's y squared, we know it's going to open to the left or to the right. And because 8 here is positive, we know it's going to open to the right. So now to find the focus, you take 8 and set it equal to 4p, because p is the distance from your focus to your vertex. So 2 units away is where we find the focus. Okay, so this point is your vertex, that point is your focus. And now we use this 8 also to plot your latus rectum, or the distance perpendicular to your focus. So we go 8 units, so 4 units down, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it's an 8, you divide it in half, because it's equally split between the top and the bottom. Okay, so with all of that, we can therefore draw your nice pretty parabola right here, including your focus. And if so, we could also put the directrix on the opposite side, 2 units away, just like your focus. Okay, so there's a nice sketch of your parabola. Now the next two are ellipses. One opens along the x-axis when it has a positive x, and one opens along the y-axis when it has a positive y. Okay, so that's going to be the only difference between these two. So let's do it on the same grid. Sorry, it's going to be a little confusing, but to save time and space, everything else is the same except for where it opens. Okay, so let's see. This opens the center. The center is going to be at +3, +4. That's my printer. Let me turn my printer off. Hopefully it will go off. There it goes. So +3, +4 over here. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the center for your hyperbola. So once again, we're going to go 4 units in the x direction, and 4 units left and 4 units right. Okay, now this is helping us make our box for our hyperbola. Okay, and then we're going to go 3 units, or the square root of 9, in the y direction. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so once again, this helps us make your box. So you make a rectangle with these lengths. Okay, so here's your rectangle. Your rectangle helps you make your asymptotes. So your asymptotes go from corner through the center out the other corner. Okay, and likewise here. So these are your asymptotes. Now the x one that's positive, okay? When x is positive, it opens along the x-axis. So this is going to be the first equation, x minus 3 squared. Okay, we'll open this way, like that. Okay, so that's this one, whereas x is positive. Now when x is negative and y is positive, the graph will open like this. Okay, so the second one, when x is negative and y is positive, the graph opens like this. Okay, and the focus goes along with it also. So let's make that a little bit smaller. The focus is where we add these two things together for hyperbola. We add them together. So the focus is 5 units away from your center. So let's see if we can do that. In pink, we count from our center 5 units out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a focus here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a focus there. Now you also count 5 units out from your other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a focus here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a focus there. Okay, so the focus and your transverse or your major axis is always the one that goes through your focus. Okay, so this would be the major transverse axis for your y graph, and this one would be the major transverse axis for your other graph, just in case you ever want to know. Okay, and then our last one down here, this is in, looks like general form, so we're going to have to first complete the square before we graph this circle. Okay, now I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time completing the square because it's not that much trouble. So x squared minus 6x plus 9, right? 9 is your square. Plus y squared plus 2y plus 1 is the perfect square. Equals -1 from here plus 9 plus 1. So factoring gives me x minus 3 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 9. Okay, so this has a center at 3, -1. And you go 3 units in every direction in order to make your circle. Oh, that's the prettiest circle I've ever made. Around and around and around. Okay, so we just did this, so hopefully it's fresh in your brain and you won't have a whole lot of trouble there.